thought maybe people would want to see Penny before I started this video, because I will be chatting about Penny a little bit in this video. But this is Penny. Hi everybody. You're so cute. Hey guys, it is Jenna, what is up, and welcome back to the Board Game Garden, and welcome back to the first ever overview and review on this channel. I am so excited that this is going to be my first overview and review because this game is very special to me. This is actually the first ever game that I have kickstarted on Kickstarter. Yay, Jenna! She's getting into Kickstarter and her wallet is in trouble. But anyways, Bark Avenue is published by Paradise Games. This is their first game. Mackenzie and Jonathan are actually fellow content creators over at Paradise Games here on YouTube, and they've been working on this game for over 2 years, and you can really tell that they put so much love, and it's really just them in a game. They have their own dog, which their dog is in the game. The middle dog there is Emma, their dog, and they actually live in New York, so they were able to really make this game so thematic, which I will get into later. But I'm super excited to show you guys this game today. The illustrations were done by Chris and April. Chris did all of the event cards, the board, as well as the cover, which I love. I will get more into artwork and stuff when I get into the review. And then April did all of the illustrations of the animal cards and just all of the animals in the game. I should also mention before we get into this that this is a prototype, so the box, the components, everything is just a prototype, so it's not reflecting what the final product is going to be. If you guys are wanting to see how this game plays and what I thought about the game and just an overview and review of Bark Avenue, just keep on watching and let's get into a little overview and how to play on the table. Bark Avenue is a route optimization pick up and deliver game where players are dog walkers on the streets of New York City. Players will pick up dogs, perform different activities, receive tips, gain reviews, and compete to become the most successful dog walker in all of New York. We will first start out with a quick setup of the game. So starting out, you want to place the game board in the center of the table, place the walk tracker tokens, tip tokens, as well as the coffee tokens and dog bone tokens beside the board where all players can reach them. Event cards will be getting flipped throughout the game, so shuffle those up and place them close to the game board as well. Also, give all of the dog cards a good shuffle and place those in the correct spots at the top of the game board. Note that in a 1 to 2 player game, you will only be using dogs from either the east side or the west side, and there will only be 4 dogs available compared to the 6 that are in a 3 to 4 player game. Next up, have both the park die and the city die close to their coordinating locations, and place the sun tracker on the sun track on the right side of the game board. Have each player pick one of the 5 available colors, hand them the player board, 5 rating discs, and dog walker meeple in that color. Also, each player will receive 3 squishy poop tokens, 3 happy dog tokens, and 3 photo tokens. Then give all players 2 resume builder cards and 2 dog cards. Players will choose one of each to start the game with. The location on the starting dog for each player will determine where that player's dog walker meeple will begin the game, and that's the setup. The objective of Bark Avenue is to be the dog walker that has made the most money at the end of the day. This will be made up of all of the dogs walked, tips you have received, your resume builder card or cards, as well as the $10 bonus on the last review star. Now everything in Bark Avenue revolves around the dogs, so let's take a look at the dog cards. All dog cards show you the size of the dog's pickup and drop-off location, as well as how much you will receive for a successful walk. Starting in the top left-hand corner, you have the speed of the dog. This is how many steps you'll be taking on your turn, but note if you have more than one dog, you will be walking the speed of the slowest one. Next up, you have the length of walk. This is how many turns you need to walk a dog before returning it to their home. You will be placing these paw print tokens on each dog at the end of each turn you walk them. You have in the top right-hand corner their favorite thing, whether that's splashing in a puddle, sniffing a fire hydrant, or playing some fetch, this will allow you to give that dog a happy token. And then lastly, we have what type of dog it is. So whether it is a group walk dog, a solo walk dog, or a foster dog, which note that foster dogs do not give you any money, but they do help with certain resume builder cards and achieving the Walk a Foster Dog review. On your turn, you will start by rolling either the city die or the park die, depending on where you start your turn. If you roll the puddle, nothing exciting happens, but if you roll the poop, you get to add a squishy poop to the dog of your choice, which will get you a tip when you drop off that dog. If you roll the +1 shoe, that gets you an additional step on your turn. And lastly, if you do roll the pigeon, wherever that die lands, you have to start your turn with 1 step in that direction. For the park die, the poop works the same, but there is an additional golden poop, which allows you to add a poop to every single dog that you currently have. And there is also a squirrel that acts the same as the pigeon, but makes you take your first 2 steps in that specific direction. Now on every turn, you are doing 3 things. You are rolling the die, moving however many steps you can, and then taking 1 action. That can be picking up a dog, dropping off a dog, or taking one of the neighborhood actions that you are in. For example, here with the camera icon, I could take a picture of one of the dogs that I currently have, and that would get me an additional tip when I dropped off that dog. Now, when you are picking up a dog or dropping off a dog, you must be in the location that is on the dog card, and if you're dropping off a dog, they must have been walked for the specific amount that is on the dog card. They can be walked for longer, but I will get into that after, and you will receive a tip for each successful activity that you did throughout that dog's walk, and those tips will get you $2 each at the end of the game. This is a great time to add that you can walk a dog longer than is stated on their card, but if all walk tracker tokens do get flipped to the house side, the dog is officially late and you will not score that dog card at the end of the game. But you still will receive the tips that you received for the activities that you achieved along their walk. Once you've successfully dropped off a dog, you then have a chance to get a good review. You do this by taking one of your rating discs off of your player board and placing it on one of the many review spaces. These can be different things that you achieve throughout the game. This is things like walking a solo dog or walking 3 dogs at the same time. And as you are taking these rating discs off of your player board, you are also upgrading your walking. So it's unlocking things like playing with dogs in the park. This allows you to tire out dogs quicker by adding 2 paws to them instead of 1 and being able to drop them off earlier. The second star allows you to choose either a free coffee token or a free dog bone token, which we haven't chatted about these yet, so let's get into them. A coffee token allows you to perform 2 actions on a turn instead of 1, and you can use it twice. Once you've used it once, you will flip it over to the half full side, and then you will use it a second time and it will be taken off of your player board. And then second, we have the dog bone token. This can be used to ignore a dog's negative attributes. So for example, if you have a solo dog and want to walk another dog alongside it, you can give that solo dog a treat and they will allow it. Unlocking the 3rd star allows you to walk 3 dogs at the same time. The 4th star allows you to have 2 actions on each turn, kind of like a permanent coffee, and the last star gets you 10 bonus points at the end of the game. And lastly, we have the round tracker, or what it's called in Bark Avenue, the sun tracker. This will be moving at the end of every single round and activating different things. So every other round, an event card will be flipped, and this will be different things that will affect the game, whether it's bad or good. For example, here we have a card that says all walkers may walk a shorter distance than their current speed. There is then competition, which allows you to refresh some of the dogs. The rightmost 2 dogs are discarded, all dogs are moved down, and 2 new dogs are flipped. And lastly, we have surge pricing. There are 4 different rounds where all dogs will have a tip on top of them, and whichever player picks up those dogs just gets a little extra tip. And that is the game. Players will continue to play until sunset, and the player with the most money at the end of the game wins and is the most successful dog walker in New York City. Okay, so that is an overview and a little bit of a how to play of Bark Avenue, so you guys can get a little bit of a feel for how the game plays. For my reviews, I really wanted to have like a structured review kind of format. I'm all about formats when it comes to videos, and I love just a good organized review. So basically I'm going to be going over 5 different things. First is theme, so that is how the gameplay and the art and everything kind of comes together with the theme. And then next would be gameplay, so obviously the mechanics, how the game plays, replayability, so how well it is replayed, the differences between games, all of that. You guys know replayability. And then fourth would be art. I'm an art lover, so I love to talk about the art in a game, and the art is honestly what really draws me in, art and theme, obviously. And then the fifth one will be weight, so that is how heavy the game is, what types of players it will be good for, and all of those things. So let's get into the first category, which is theme. So in this game, you are a dog walker in New York, and me personally, as a dog lover, I love the theme. And fun little fact is that I used to be a dog walker when I was younger. Obviously not in the crazy hustle bustle of New York, but I was a dog walker in the small little town of Paris, Ontario, and it was great. But yes, I love the theme. I love dogs. If you are a cat lover, you know, you might not like it as much as me, but personally, and for other dog lovers, the dog theme really has me. Also, Francis and I have been to New York before, and we really do love just like the vibes of New York. So the theme, absolutely love it. I will say that this is probably the most thematic game that I have ever played. Just the theme integrating into what you are doing in the game. I have never played a game that just made so much sense. This game is so easy to learn. It is so easy to teach because everything just makes sense. The mechanics and what you are doing in the game is just so intuitive that it is just so easy to learn and teach, and I really love that about the game. Everything has a purpose when it comes to integrating the theme into the gameplay. So I will say that this theme and it being integrated into the gameplay, I have never played a game so good as this one. So that is one thing. I feel like that's like the one thing about this game that is just top notch, is the integration with the theme. So yes, that is theme, but moving on to the gameplay. So like I just mentioned when chatting about theme, this game really does well with integrating the theme into the gameplay, and I think ultimately because everything is just so intuitive and makes sense, the game just runs very smoothly. You get to your turn, you're going to walk the dog a few spots, and you're gonna find a fire hydrant, and that dog loves to sniff the fire hydrant, so you're gonna do that. It makes the dog happy. You check that off your list. Maybe you want to get the dog back to their house quicker, so you go to the park, you tire them out quicker so that you can get them back to the house quicker. Drink your coffee, you have more energy, the coffee gets you more actions on your turn. Just everything makes so much sense, and it makes me very, very happy. It just makes the gameplay like flow so smoothly, and I really, really enjoy that about the gameplay. So there is one thing that I can see some people getting a little bit annoyed with, but again, it kind of ties into the theme, and that is that the dog cards that you have to choose from to pick up, they do move quite quickly, and this, like I said, ties into the theme where, you know, dogs are not going to, or dog owners are not going to be waiting for you to come pick up their dog. They're going to call another dog walker, they're just gonna not get their dog walked, and someone is just gonna move on. So a dog's not going to stay there and wait forever. So this is the type of game where you kind of have to really be on your toes and move quickly, and sometimes the thing that you plan for is not going to work out. But honestly, for me, I kind of like the challenge of not really knowing what's going to happen on your turn and kind of going with the flow and then making the best of what you get. We did play a 5-player game, and one thing that I did notice is that the 5-player game did run a little bit long, and part of this was probably because 3 of the 5 players that we were playing with were new to the game and they were just learning it. So the first like half of the game, everyone was kind of still trying to get a grip of what they were doing. So it did run a little bit longer than I would have liked it to, but I'm sure if you played with 5 people that knew what they were doing, the game would have went a little bit quicker. Also, analysis paralysis is something that happens in this game for sure, and I think that's just because, going back again to the thematics of everything moving quickly, you can't really plan too far ahead for what you're going to do. Obviously you can plan for what dogs you have, but once you have walked a dog, dropped off a dog, it's a little bit hard to plan what your next move is because those dogs move so quickly. And then lastly, for gameplay, I wanted to mention that there is a solo variant for this game. For the prototype, we did not receive the solo components, but I read through the rule book about the solo rules and it sounds really fun, and I am very, very excited once I get the finished copy of this. I'm very excited to get into the solo play. I have been, like I told you guys in past videos, been getting more into solo games, and I'm so happy that they included a solo for this game. You are basically competing against 2 other rival dog walkers, and basically you're picking 2 player colors to play as those rivals, and you are placing 1 chip of each of those rival dog walkers above the farthest to the right dogs, and those are the dogs that the dog walkers will eventually get. So once you get to the phase where you are refreshing the dogs, typically you would take those 2 dogs, put them in the discard pile, and then slide down all of the new dogs and flip over 2 new ones. But in this, those 2 dogs that are below the rival dog walker chips, they get them and they score those at the end. So you're kind of trying to make sure that you leave the rival dog walkers with some lower scoring dogs so that you can ultimately win at the end. And the dogs that are underneath the rivals' chips will actually be where the rivals' meeples are. So for example, if there is a dog that is at the Met, that meeple of that rival dog walker will be placed on top of the Met. So if you get to the Met, you are not able to do any of the town actions on that neighborhood. So it kind of affects you in different ways. And I'm really, really excited ultimately to try out the solo play. Again, I've been really loving solo games recently, so yes, that is the gameplay. So moving into the 3rd category, that is replayability. I will say that the gameplay category took quite a long time, so I promise the other 3 I will not yap as long, but ultimately gameplay is the most important thing about a game, so it's good that I yapped that long. But replayability for this game is really good. I definitely have, played some other ones that I feel like the replayability is slightly better, but the replayability is ultimately really good for Bark Avenue. The mixture of what dogs come out, what events get flipped at certain times, as well as what your personal objective or objectives are. I definitely think there is a good mixture of what can happen and what you are like working towards and stuff within the game. And then also with this prototype, it came with about 40 something dog cards, and in the final product there is going to be almost double the amount of dog cards. So I feel like that even makes the replayability even more. I'm super, super excited. I think there's like 81 dog cards, which is amazing. A solid chunk of dog cards to go through. So that will allow for more variety for sure. And I believe there are 3 more event cards being added as one of the stretch goals that they have achieved. So even more event cards, even more dog cards, all these different things will really play into how great the replayability of Bark Avenue is. So ultimately, it's good. Moving into art. Art is really, really important to me. You guys know, or if you do not know, art is like the one thing that really draws me into a board game. If it has beautiful art, you best believe I'm going to be looking into the gameplay and wanting to play it. So The art in this game is absolutely fabulous. Chris did, like I said, the box cover, the event cards, as well as the board, and then April did all of the animal drawings. So all of the dog cards she will be doing. I will mention, I don't know if I'll mention this in the how to play, but all of the dog cards are going to have like more things in the background of the homes, and all of the dogs are going to be illustrated. During the Kickstarter, they did offer to get your own dog into the game, which Penny is going to be in the game, which is very exciting. I'm so excited. If you want a board game with Penny in it, definitely recommend backing. But yes, some people got their own dogs in the game, so she's going to be illustrating those. And I just think the art is absolutely fabulous. They did amazing, and I can't wait to see the final product with all of the illustrated dogs and everything. If there was one thing that I would nitpick about the art, ultimately it's kind of a compliment, but that is that I wish that the board art, because the board is New York City itself, and if you look behind what the players are walking on, the art of the city from like a bird's eye view is stunning. And I wish that ultimately you could see that art more. Maybe if they made the multicolored spots where you're walking slightly smaller, or if they made them, you know, a little bit translucent so you could see the overview of New York City a little bit better. I know that the gameplay is the most important thing, and where the dogs can be dropped off and picked up, all of the different multicolored neighborhoods and stuff like that, that is the most important thing, and they want the players while playing to be able to easily find where a dog is supposed to go or where a dog needs to be picked up. So the gameplay is the most important thing, so I can understand why they wanted that to be the most prevalent thing, but the art below is absolutely stunning, and yeah, just needed to say that. And then the last category is weight. So if you are new to gaming, typically weight is kind of a word to describe how heavy a game is, how difficult a game is, I guess, how easy it is, how hard it is to play, and who it would be best for. So I would say that this is probably like a light to medium weight game. I can see new players being able to learn this game easily. Again, going back to the theme, it is just very intuitive, and I feel like a lot of people would be able to understand the gameplay based off of the theme and what you're doing. But at the same time, I do think, like, Francis and I are pretty big board gamers. We're not into like super heavy games. Like, we typically play on Board Game Geek. They have a 1 to 5 range for weight. So if a game is a 5, that means it's the heaviest game. Game is like a 1, less than a 1, it's very light, very easy. So typically Francis and I are playing 3 to 4 is usually our range. I think our hardest game is maybe like a 3.9 something. I don't think we've ever gotten a game over 4. But I would say that it's, you know, we're playing pretty difficult games, you know, heavy, medium heavy games, not super heavy, but I think that this one is still good for those players, people that love a good strategy. It still allows for some strategic decisions throughout the game, and it can get pretty thinky when it comes to connections and trying to walk more than one dog at a time and trying to get as many things done as possible in as little time as possible. So there's still a lot of those decisions that you're making, very thinky, very strategic, but still at the same time allowing for the lighter players to join in. They might not be thinking so much about the strategy, but they're still enjoying themselves. So I feel like this is a good game for, you know, a wide range of players for sure. So that is the weight of Bark Avenue, and that is everything for my review. So that is everything for my overview and review of Bark Avenue. You guys could tell throughout the video that it is a game that I do recommend, and it is a game that I am so excited about. I can't wait to see the final product. I feel like it's going to be absolutely beautiful, and the gameplay to match is absolutely amazing. So hopefully this helps you make your decision on if you would want to back Bark Avenue or not. Be sure to click the link down below for their Kickstarter to go and back if you would like. Thank you so much to Mackenzie and Jonathan for reaching out. I backed this game and then I posted on Instagram that I backed it, and they reached out and asked if I wanted to try the prototype. So huge thank you to them. I really appreciate it. And they did offer to put Penny in the game as well. So I'm super, super thankful for them for doing that. And Penny's now going to be in a board game, which is super exciting, and I am just so, so excited. So thank you again, Mackenzie and Jonathan. Thank you guys for spending your time here with me today to hang out and talk about Bark Avenue. Again, go check out the Kickstarter down below. I love you guys so much. Remember, you are somebody's reason to smile, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, friends.